Welcome, everybody, for joining us on our podcast number 8, Used Truck Talk. We've got Steve Bootsma with Vander. We got Mike Gardecki with TransWest, myself with American Equipment Sales and Leasing, Scott Wynn, and Joe Bowers with Class 8 Truck Sales.
Welcome,
How's
Joe.
everybody? Hey, thanks for having me on. How's everybody doing?
Doing great.
Doing great,
Good.
Joe.
Good. And everybody's recouped after the holidays, and we're ready to get out there and get after it.
I think so.
Already getting
shaking off all that time off, and man, it seems like the market's a little sleepy here. It seems like it's starting to wake up in our camp.
Yeah, we're seeing a little movement, moving the chess pieces around the board, so to speak, and make things happen. And I think some of the deals we're working on right now, I mean, it's not without work. Got to be on that phone hustling deals, but I'm very, very optimistic for a good outcome for 26. Glass is always half full. So
amen to that.
Got to get it there and make it. So
Spring is just around the corner at this point. So
yes, sir.
I'm sure there's a lot of people in the Southeast hoping that it comes sooner than later. They've experienced some challenges that they normally don't encounter. But for us in the Midwest, it's more typical.
Somehow Pennsylvania got confused and thinks it's part of the Midwest. We've been seeing -11 and -5. That's a little. We'll see that maybe 1 or 2 days a year, not like multiple weeks in a row at this point.
Well, Joe, you're well known around the Used Truck Association. You've been part of it for years now. But for those of us that don't know you, give us a quick background on yourself.
My name's Joe Bowers. I feel like I've been in the business all my life. Grew up around trucks. I was a kid that played with toy trucks in the floor. Kind of came from a trucking background. When I got out of high school, went to tech school, got my gen eds out of the way at OSU at Okmulgee. Went through the diesel program. Got up on the floors, pulled wrenches a little bit, furthered my education, then worked my way through the dealerships. I've done a little bit of everything. I've been a service writer. Never worked never worked a lot of the back of the house liabilities, but did work up on the service floor, writing service, rental leasing in the heavy equipment industry, 92, 94, somewhere back in there. And then I've always been a horse trader, and literally been a horse trader. Like the ponies, like the cattle. Everybody knows me for that, trading cattle. Got in the used truck business, best business to be in the world. And, was fortunate enough, a guy took a liking to me. Started out, nothing was given to me. Never really had a mentor when I first started, but just clawing, scraping, and a love for the business. When you come to work and you really like what you do, it's not a job. And I loved what I did. I still love what I do. But I was really hungry, aggressive, wanted to learn, absorb everything I can about the business, down to even taking customers out to dinner and letting them show me how they figure rates. And I was fortunate enough that I spent a little time in the tank truck industry, cow trucking industry. So I have been in the truck. I can drive the trucks. I can load the trucks. So that part was easy to talk to the business owners. But the sales experience I had to learn, and I did. I absorbed everything. That was long before podcast, and I date myself. That's the old cassette tape days when we listened to Zig Ziglar, Jim Rohn, and all that. I miss that sometimes. I miss the old Jim Rohn days when I'm driving 1,000 miles a week out in the territory listening to Jim Rohn all week. So,
I remember those well.
Oh yeah, those were my mentors, and reading a lot. But I started out with a Kenworth dealer, used trucks. Was fortunate enough. They had a little hiccup and got rid of some F&I guys. Got to get my feet wet learning finance and insurance, and did a lot of finance stuff over there. That was before the programs. We had the old Hewlett Packard 12C calculators, and kind of ran everything out by hand and faxed everything in. And then fortunate enough to go with another dealer and get into fleet sales with another dealer and work fleet sales, and it was great. Did well. Still had an itch for the used truck business, so he was sending a lot of equipment at that time to UPC and Ideal Lease to sell. And I kind of went in his office one day and had a business plan. I said, man, I'd really like to go down to the used truck yard and see what we can get going. So I will say that was Blair Roberts, and Blair said, yeah, man, go down there and we had an older guy that kind of been handling some used trucks down there. Great guy, but been selling trucks since '66. So he didn't cell phone. He didn't email. So I went down there and I just had a great run. And, from there just kind of stuck. I've worked, I've done a little wholesale, little used truck sales, fleet sales, finance, insurance. So I've got my feet wet in a lot of the industry. And I think that helps a lot, kind of knowing all facets of the business. But that's kind of my background. Just always been around trucks. I can't sell anything else. This is what I like to do.
It's a wealth of knowledge. And I think another cool thing you got there, Joe, is not just all the different facets, but you've seen this market absolutely evolve since the 70s.
Oh, yeah. Man, it's come a long ways. I go back to a little kid, being around the trucks and just the old guys. It was like the trucks were made of wood and the men were made of steel back then. I mean, those were, you know what I mean? And that's just all I ever wanted to do. I didn't want to do anything else. And don't get me wrong, I like heavy equipment too. I've worked in heavy equipment. That's where I actually started out of college a little bit, was with a cat dealer. And I like heavy equipment too, but the truck business was just, it was always fast paced. I really liked the clientele. And some of the clientele, the guys that's been in it long enough know, I mean, it was almost like dealing with some underworld guys back in the day. And I kind of miss those guys. You always knew where you stood with them, and they were businessmen. I mean, they were hardcore business guys, and I really learned a lot from them as well. But yeah, I've seen a lot evolve and still evolve. If you'd have told me 25 years ago what we see today in our buying, in our selling, and how we do it, I'd have said, man, you're crazy. It almost goes back to when I was at diesel school. Who'd have ever thought we'd hook a computer to a diesel engine and talk to it? Because I can tell you, back in the 80s, we didn't learn that. It was, you learned to be a mechanic. We weren't technicians yet. We were mechanics. We were diesel mechanics. I still keep up with some of the education side. I have a friend that's a diesel instructor, and we went through tech together. And I said, man, remember these young guys today? I said, we had to go through diesel school and learn fuel pumps and how to overhaul injectors. And we couldn't plug a computer in and diagnose itself. We had to work on them to figure out what was wrong with it. And we've got away from that a lot in this industry. But yeah, lots evolved. Lots has evolved in this industry for sure.
Yeah, now they're working on predictive failure technologies where the truck's going to tell you a month or two before it's going to have a major failure and set you up as a recall to get you in before the time. I mean, it's crazy stuff they got going.
Yeah. And when we were looking at some of that, I mean, I don't feel some of that's all bad. And I know, if you're running a trucking fleet, one of the biggest obstacles you have to overcome is your truck broke down 3 or 4 states away.
Oh, yeah.
That is a major problem.
Outside the network, if you will.
Yep. And when you get out there, you don't know who you're dealing with. I've been there where truck's down in Mississippi or it's down in wherever, north, south, east, west, doesn't matter. But you're on the phone with a shop and you're blatantly being taken advantage of.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got to be tight-lipped because your equipment's sitting over in that guy's parking lot. The last incident I had with that, a guy was trying to get to me pretty good, and I laugh about it now. So I said, well, I'll tell you what, bud. I said, I'll just come pick that up. It'll be out of there this week. So I send a haul truck up there to pick it up, and the haul truck driver calls me. He goes, hey, this guy says you owe him $600 for storage. I'm like, you can't make that up. I'm like, you take a credit card, and I got to get my truck out of there. He's done nothing to it. We drove it in, dropped it off, needed it fixed. Guy wanted an exuberant amount of money. I mean, way over what it should have took. And I did take it to a mom and pop shop because I like mom and pop dealerships, mom and pop shops. I mean, that's what we kind of all are, a lot of us. So when I saw that, I thought it'd really be neat. You got a guy going down the road. Hey, I'm going to have a hiccup. I'm going to have a problem. Well, you need to start coming back this way as quick as you can so we can get that taken care of in our own facility or in a facility around our network, as you said. But technology is not all bad. I do not fight technology at all. I think a lot of it's good. I know it can be a problem, but you got to look at it differently. Guys talk about the old trucks versus the new trucks. And I said, the great thing about a new truck, you buy it new. If you'll buy all the warranty, the way to look at it, you're paying for all your breakdowns up front. You're not having to pay for any of them on the back end. They're paid for. So you get, the last deal I had with a guy on a new truck deal, because I help a lot of guys. Guys will come in here and I'll help them and we'll run it all out on paper. And so we came down to, you're going to get some new trucks and kind of working with him. I said, here's what we're going to do. We're going to get enough warranty on it. Radio knob falls off of it at $499, $999. You're getting a radio. And at $420, you're going to get rid of that truck. And all your breakdowns have been taken care of that way. And that's what he did. I mean, he bought several new assets and he's still running those assets, but him and I talked quite a bit and he said, hey, we're getting close at $420. Will you sell these for me? I said, sure, all day long, man. Bring it in. We'll get rid of them for you. So I think a lot of times guys got to think outside the box like that to try to overcome some of the obstacles that we face with some of the newer emissions and electrical problems.
And you do run a shop there at your location, correct? I
Yes.
mean, you guys do mechanical repair and some body work and.
Yeah. Yep. We do, We're full repair. And, then we've got a trailer mechanic or two that works on trailers here. We've got a really good trailer mechanic, welder, fabricator, in the shop. And that helps a lot on the cow pot side. Everybody, I sell cattle trailers. That's one of my niches. And so you get them guys running in here pretty hot, wanting them fixed in and out. You can get in and out pretty quick. And then I do run two young guys are in the shop down there, and they're really good at the new stuff. And we've got all the software to take care of that, to fix things. So that's not a worry. Our guys can work on anything.
Good. We were talking a little bit earlier, Joe, that you've been now independent for going on 6 years. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. That's correct. Yep.
Maybe if you could share a little bit of insight of maybe some of the opportunities that you have had as an individual and a business owner now versus, working in a more corporate or as an employee of another independent business.
Yeah. What's different is night and day. I can tell you that. I've learned a lot. I never worked in the back end in the dealerships. I never worked back of the house stuff. So when I came into this business and started it myself, I was a salesman. I wasn't a business owner. I'd always been a salesman. So I have had to learn a lot. And it's not just the dealership. It's insurance. It's security bonds. It's health insurance. It's FET. It's state tax. There's a lot to it. And I'm not going to say I'm perfect at it. That's probably my biggest weakness is I do not like paperwork. I do not like the business side of it in the back end. I'm not good at it. I'll tell you that. I'm not good at it. I'll just sit here and tell you, everything covered in it. So I'm blessed that my wife helps me in this a lot. And I lean on her a lot to help me, and my daughters. My daughters are both grown women, but they come in here and they help keep Dad lined out, because I can stack a desk full of paper and not think a thing about it and just keep on going. Next, buy, sell, trade. That's all I really like to do is buy. I'm a trader, at heart. I'm a salesman. So, and I think a guy's, he's got to know that coming in, that there's going to be things you're just not good at. Nobody's good at just 100%. I'm sure there is, but nobody's 100% good at just everything they do. And I'm an older guy, so I fight technology a lot. I'm still pen and paper. I'm still 10 key calculator. I still keep a banker's ledger in my desk. So I still run ledger books and stuff to keep track of my equipment and the money and where we're at in it. But it's been fun, but there's been big changes. And I went into business that first year we were rocking and rolling. I mean, I think I bought up everything. I say this jokingly. I feel like I bought up everything pre-emission in a RD Mac, a Ford, or a FLD in California. I was buying everything. And then COVID hit, and the minute I fired up, COVID hit. We were into this a year and a half when COVID hit, and that changed a lot of things. We weren't hurting. We weren't in trouble, any of that, but the selling changed, and everybody knows the auctions have changed. It used to be that was a big network platform. You went to the Taylor Martin, you went to the Ritchie, and that was your networking group. You go to Fort Worth and see everybody. Well, that's changed. So really being in business 6 years, what I've learned, I'm still learning how we buy, how we sell, how we navigate through these waters. And really, if there's not a lot there and there's only one truck, you can't drive to Fort Worth to go with the one truck. So I'm a gambler. Do you roll the dice and buy it? Learned a lot doing that. I've been snake bit on a few deals, and some of them have come out great, but I've learned a lot. And part of me going in business wasn't necessarily the money side of it. You hear they make so much money off of me. It really wasn't the money. It was wanting to learn this business from the back end side and run an office. And then two, the freedom. Have a little freedom of what I want to sell and what I want to buy and
how you want to sell it.
Yeah,
how you want to buy
exactly. It. And it's really been a blessing with my girls. When I did this, the girls were still in high school, and all my employers I've never left on bad terms, and I don't think anybody should. And I just told them when I left, I said, "Hey man, I got a different view. I got a different view of how I want to work this thing out. My girls are still in high school. I want to spend time with them." And I've always said this: nothing feels better than when you're sitting in your office and your girls come walking in the door and they're like, "Hey, Dad, what's going on?" That's great. And I mean, they even did that when I worked at a dealership. They were always down there, but and they really want to get involved and help you. That feels good. That makes you feel good. And man, I've had a lot of help from them as well. They go above and beyond. Of course, everybody knows CJ. She comes and plays golf tournaments with me. And Emery's my littlest daughter. She helps a lot with the marketing now. And the kid's good at it because I'm not good with phones. And, you know, I'll have something going on she needs to fix. And I've been messing with it for 2 days. And in 2 minutes, she's got it fixed. Oh, yeah, I've done that. I'm like, how'd you do that? You know, so, but I still get a little bit of that old school in me, you know, and I miss the old days of how we used to sell. And, you know, this business was a huge relationship business. And it's changed a lot since COVID. You know, a lot of old guys have went out, a lot of new guys have come in, and even in the sales side, as you know, it's changed immensely as well.
You talked a little bit about marketing there. What have you seen change just in the last couple of years on marketing? I mean, is there a different platform that you've found to be more progressive or provide more opportunities? You've spoken that you're the old school yet, so I know picking up the phone and pounding through the phone numbers is a big part of your plan, but do you do anything additional to supplement that?
Well, I do the truck paper. I think everybody has to be on truck paper. You know, you got to be on the truck paper. And as everybody knows, it's pretty expensive. I haven't done many more platforms. You know, I do a little bit of the social media thing. We're trying to grow that. And my daughter's helped me with that. I know a lot of guys talk about using the Facebook marketplace. I haven't been real successful with that. It just seems like I get the guy that wants to give me half the money I'm asking for it at 2:00 in the morning. I've got
I'm all too familiar with that.
Yeah. You know, I had one the other night. My wife was laughing. I had something posted for 15,000. And the guy goes, I have 8,000 cash. You know, of course you're texting. And I go, great. All you need is 7 more, man. You got the trailer.
I always like to hit him back with do you need financing for the remainder of that?
And hey, you got the down payment, you know, so, that's it. And you know, I've said this once and I've said it 100 times, especially the young guys, man. I think people are hungry to see people. That's how we made money back. Even, you know, 08, I think 01, 02, 03 was really the rough times. 08 to me it was a cakewalk compared to 02 or 03. 03 was just and 02 was just a bloodbath. But I think, you know, even in 01, 02, 03, what got me through that was and I'd sit there and pound them phones and call 300 people a week or more. And, you could buy names and numbers and I would buy those numbers. And back then it came in a bifold paper. We didn't have really Excel yet, wasn't really around. And I'd take that bifold paper and I still put everything on paper in a mechanical pencil. And man, I just whipped that thing to death with that pencil. Who I called, follow up. And you know, it's funny, the old guys, and I talk about the old guys, and a lot of them I worked with are gone now. They've passed away. The ones that are left are in their 80s. And I get tickled because we'd have sales meetings and I was selling equipment in 02, 03. Don't think I was lighting the world on fire. I wasn't, but I was selling some equipment. And we had dial out count. And they'd go, you know, hey, you made 40 dial outs. Hey, you had 76 dial outs last week. Joe, you had 315 dial outs last week. And I was coming in the dealership at 6:30 in the morning because the East Coast, that's 8 o'clock at 7 o'clock our time. And I'd start pounding the phones. I'd work my way across the United States. I'd sell some trucks. I'd get some trucks sold. And then those old guys would be sitting up front and they go, see that guy? Man, that's the luckiest guy in the world. Man, he's so lucky. Man, that guy can just sell anything. He's lucky. It wasn't luck. It's just, man, I was pounding the pavement. And then, in 08, when 08 hit and things kind of started going down, I went down to the auction and I bought a car. And put my briefcase in the car, and closed bar, and I just started running 1,200, 1,500 miles a week. And I remember the guy I worked for, it was Robert's Trucks back then. I remember Blair came out one day and he said, hey, did you really go 1,200 miles last week? And I go, yeah. And a couple of the guys started nicknaming me the Roadrunner because they'd call me and they go, hey, where you at? I said, oh, man, I'm in Burnett, Texas. And they'd talk to me a week later. Hey, where you at? Oh, man, I'm over in Amarillo, or I'm in wherever. And I just started anywhere there was a truck parked in the parking lot. I was in their front door talking to them. And when you start making all those circles every week and you're in 2 or 3 places every week, same day, same time, and you can't go, there's 40, 50 companies, so you can't touch them all in one day. So you go up and you call 4 or 5 of them, maybe do a lunch, do a little prospecting, you head back out of Woodward because it's 2.5 hour run back into Oklahoma City. And I'd try to be there at 8 o'clock in the morning. And so I did that for several years, and that's how I overcome 08 and 09. And it just kind of got in my blood that's in my blood. I love to run the road. I would always go to the auctions because all the truck guys were there. And you could run down to Fort Worth, see all the truck guys, not necessarily buying. You're just in there talking to guys, hey, what do you see? What's hot? What's not? And a lot of times when you're running the road, I'm a pen and paper guy, I'd go into some guy's office and I say, hey, you got anything you want to get rid of? Hey man, I've got 2 CH Max sitting out back. Oh yeah, let me take a look at them. And as a salesman, I bought all my own equipment. So I had my own laptop. I had my own digital camera. And I'd go around, I'd do an appraisal on it, write it up, take pictures of it. And you don't know, you'd get the next day, be somewhere, and I go, hey, you looking for anything? Boy, I could use some good day cabs. Hey, I know where there's some day cabs. And, that's how I started selling in '08, was just kind of putting things together like that. It wasn't necessarily bringing the trucks in, getting them detailed. I mean, that all took place, but it was kind of the pre-sale and then going through the steps to sell it. And, cause a lot of companies didn't want to hold trucks on their book, as you know, in '08. It was pretty rough for a lot of the guys, but, I just overcame it by running the mile.
So how does that look today? I mean, you're the business owner, you're the buyer, the salesman. Are you running up and down the road 600 miles a week?
It's hard. It's hard for me to do that. I try to go see people. I think you got to be out there a lot every day. And, I just haven't found the right person to come in and run this. And I actually feel this way. I would rather have somebody come run the company and let me go sell, because I know what I'm good at. And, I never was a used truck manager. Ever. Anybody I worked for, I wasn't a used truck manager. I was a salesman. And I always had this thing I'd tell them, they go, when you work in dealerships, they always want to make you a used truck manager. And I made more money than my used truck managers did. And they always go, hey man, you want to be a used truck manager? I go, hey, why would you pull Chris Kyle off the front line and go put him in clerical? You leave your shooters out front making money. Because if they're making money, you're making money. And I always felt that way. So I'd never take a used truck manager's job. And, there's some downfalls to that. When I started this company, I'd never been a manager. So I'm winging it. I'd always been a salesman. And I took a lot of pride in that. Took a lot of pride in being a salesman. For some reason, I've noticed in this industry, we've made salesman a dirty word. Have you guys noticed that? Everybody's a remarketing specialist, whatever they are. Man, I'm a salesman. I've got a picture my daughter's working on. She's going to get a frame for it. And it's the guy sitting on the back end of the horse, and he's looking out over the tail side, and he's got his arms up. And there's a big crowd of people around him, and the auctioneer's sitting over here. He's a trader. And that's what I've always been, a peddler. And, I've had some talks with guys. I said, I noticed it when I worked with Navistar, with the Roberts Group. When they sold or merged, did a merger, the new marketing girl came in. I'll never forget that. She goes, okay. She came down to the office and she had her scratch pad and she goes, what do you want on your card? I said, salesman. She goes, I'd salesman. I go, yeah, I'm salesman. Well, no, aren't you and I can't remember all the words she used, but remarketing specialist or whatever. And I said, no, I'm just a salesman is what I am. That's what I do. I buy, sell, and trade. And I'm proud of that. What I do. I take a lot of pride in that. But we've tried to do everything to kill that word for some reason in this business. I took a lot of pride in it. I took a lot of pride knowing, man, I would read the transport topics front to back, left to right, and how to figure rates, XM radio, Road Dog radio, and the trucking shows and listening to them and not listening to music going down the road, listening to books, sales books or podcasts. I'm a huge podcast guy. Or listening to like Road Dog Trucking and listening to things and listening to some of, I'd pick the hours where they'd have, topics on tires and things. Knowing the industry, eating and breathing and sleeping the industry. I'm not beating this business up. I don't think we as older guys have done a good enough job of teaching the new guys. And I always try to teach the young guys to see if they have a passion for it. I can weed a young guy out pretty quick. And when they come in and sit down and want to have a heart to heart about how to sell, I don't give them anything. I tell them what they need to do, and then they'll weed themselves out in about 30 days. You'll see right where they're at for sure.
What percentage of your clientele today would be past customers?
70% or better.
I think that, that sales says something about what we used to call salesmanship, right? You've created those relationships. You built those bonds. You were consistent. You were available, and people appreciated that and they come back, right?
Yeah. You know what really, I have a story about that. There's a customer that I still sell to today, and their son has taken over. He's a grown man, but the son has taken over and he's expanded the business quite a bit into Dallas. And so I had left Robert when I switched over to the new company, and, nothing, no animosity, just pay plans change, things like that. I was sitting in my office over at Peterbilt one day, and he come walking in the door, the dad, and he goes, "Man, you are hard to find." And I had a hiccup with a phone, or with my CRM. I had a computer, and I'd lost some of my contacts. And there's so many of them you forget. And these guys were from out in western Oklahoma, and he goes, "I've been to every truck dealership in Oklahoma City looking for you." I said, "Really?" And his son started laughing. He goes, "Yeah, we went to Navistar," and he said, went down to International. They said, "You don't work here anymore." So Dad drove over to Freightliner and asked if you were there, and they said no. And he left and went to Kenworth and asked him, "Hey, does Joe Bowers work here?" And they said, "No, I think he's up at Peterbilt." So he drove up to Peterbilt, and that day ended up selling him 3 day cabs. And he drove all over Oklahoma City looking for me. I mean, it humbles you. I mean, that a guy would think that much, that he's driving all over Oklahoma City to find you. And then when I came here, I told him, I said, "Hey, I'm going to, I'm switching." He said, "You're still going to sell me trucks, right?" And I said, "Well, all day long." He said, "Good. Okay, man, you're my truck guy." And I've probably sold him, with their expansion, I know I sold him 20 trucks out of here since I've been in business, and trailer, and done quite a bit of trailers with them. Yeah, I think that's the whole thing, is building your book of business and because really your customers should be your friends. Mm-hmm. That's the way I've always looked at it. Like on the cowpot side, man, those guys are my buddies. I mean, we talk, and it's not all about trucking. I had a guy tell me that not long ago. I said something about my phone. I had my phone with me, and he goes, "Well, don't you have 2 phones?" I said, "No, I don't have. Why do I need 2 phones?" And he goes, "Well, one for the company and one personal." I go, "My customers are my buddies." And I said, if I got some guy, I got to dodge his call, I don't need him as a customer, period. And that's the truth. It goes back to, it's not all about the money. But, yeah, I think we've lost just a little bit. And like I said, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's for us older guys to teach these younger guys kind of to be proud of where we used to be,
Joe, you and I were talking the other week, and man, you kind of hit home with me, and you basically just said it again, but it's relationships, it's consistency, and it's knowledge. I mean, that's, I think, what makes a good used truck and trailer person. I really do.
I agree.
And I mean, hell of a story with the relationship bit, that you have a customer that's going to go track you down. But I think that says a lot about you and the integrity you brought to the business, the knowledge, the consistency. But that's freaking awesome. And I think that's probably some of the short-sightedness you see with some of the new guys is, man, I've been harping on this thing for 2 months and it's just not clicking. It's like, you're not doing it long enough, you're doing it the wrong way, but it's one of the two.
Yeah. Agreed.
And let's be honest, I think 18, 19, let's call it 19, 20, I think it made a lot of people soft. I mean, those were order take years.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Guys haven't really seen hardship in this business since 11, really. I guess it's true.
I mean, we had to soften up, but that's just coming down from a historical high. We're still better off than we were, 5, 6 years ago.
Man, I mean, everybody talks, 8, 9, 11. And I'm like, man, I can remember that guaranteed buyback, and they flooded the market with all those trucks. And man, it was rough. I mean, there was 100. We had so many trucks sitting on the yard, you'd have to move 6 to get one out. And there was fields over by Dallas full of trucks, full of repos. They're full to the brim. You couldn't get rid of a truck. I mean, you had to work to sell a truck. And I'm glad I went through that, because it taught me a lot. It did teach me a lot about sales. And at that time, I really had a lot of guidance in the business. And I just knew I got lucky, started reading quite a bit, started getting the CD. And I went to several seminars. And it's not that teach anything. It just kind of teaches you a mindset to keep yourself in. Guys, you can get real negative in this business real quick. And I've seen the guys do that. You can get real negative in this business really quick. And the biggest thing is just, the glass is always half full. Just got to keep looking. Everybody asks me, they'll go, "Hey, how you doing?" I'm like, "Hey, man, just ducking and swinging." Because that's all we're doing all day long. We're just ducking and swinging. But again, I'm not beating any of the young guys, because I get them, having young kids. And we were having that discussion in the dealership, and a guy, he always had his head in the phone. He goes, "Man, he's always got that phone." I said, "He's working. He's texting." And that's what, and I know we all have buyers. I can call them, no answer. I can text them, they'll return my text in 2 minutes. That's how these guys want to work, some of them. So I get it. So I try not to blow them up and just text them. And I kind of make those notes. And this guy wants to text. He doesn't want to call. I still gravitate to the phones quite a bit.
So you've been a long-time member of the UTA, haven't you, Joe?
Mm-hmm. Long time, yeah.
What do you feel some of the benefits have been to you as an independent dealer?
Some of the things that's really been a benefit is just people to lean on, to ask questions of. And I've always said this about the UTA. It's family. I mean, this is a family type. We're all friends. We're all family. We're all in this. And having the guys that when I'm having an issue or I'm having a problem, I can call them. Amen. The network, and say, hey, I'm having trouble. It's been as much as even on a P&L. I call them, I go, hey man, something's just not jiving here, man. Something doesn't look right. What's wrong here? Man, it was really great when I first fired up. There's several of them guys called and they said, hey, if I know you don't have a big floor plan and we still don't. I don't have a big floor. And, you getting a deal that you can't fund, call me. I'll back you. I'll back your play. I trust you. Man, I mean, that makes you feel good. I mean, it does make you feel good. And then some of the things that we're doing in the UTA that we've been proactive on is, getting things in place for the independents as far as insurance. I did do the insurance thing this year that we brought into the UTA. Saved me a lot of money.
And was that on the health side or was that on the garage insurance or?
The garage and the open lot.
Okay.
And even the health. I looked into the health. It just wasn't right time yet for that.
Right.
But those are the biggest obstacles we face, and it's good to be able to go into UTA and talk to guys about that. I was on the dealer side for years, so I don't want to push that off either, but when you can and I always seem to gravitate to the independent guys. Even when I worked at a dealer, I would go hang out with those guys. I liked it. I like to pick their brain. I like to learn things. A lot of good conversations, but it has been nice being in this business. And it's grown. I've seen it grow. I've seen it grow from when I first started my first UTA as an independent, talking to guys, to now we've kind of got that network where we're bringing in the insurance people, talk insurance, talk how to do things and how to save money, and the health insurance, the business insurance, the open lot, the garage keepers, the surety bonds, all that stuff, helping guys in that. And I think I'd like to see it even grow further. Mike and I have talked about getting a tire program. I still haven't figured out exactly how that works because you got a guy in California and a guy in New Hampshire. But if we could get a tire program, Bobby brought in the Will Fit Parts program several years ago. I don't know if you guys remember that. I used that program. I was buying some trucks that were beat up. I put Will Fit hoods on them, mirrors, interior pieces. I was ordering parts from that guy, and they give us a discount as part of that 4-state deal.
Oh, 4 states, yeah.
Yeah, man, I use that thing. It was great. It's still great. I still use it. I haven't had to replace any hoods or do a lot, but right after we did that, I had some trucks I need to put some hoods on and get some parts and I used it. And I'd like to see that flourish into, we've got some parts, some tires, infrastructure in, our health insurance, our lot insurance, all the way down to anything for your office needs, and I'd like to see us grow that even more.
Did you feel like your cost savings on the insurance, like ballpark-ish, was it 5%, 10% savings from what you were paying annually, or?
Oh, I saved myself 30%.
30%.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's significant.
Which,
yeah.
Talk about a cost that's really grown in our industry. Well, grown just nationally across everything, whether it's over the road, trucking insurance or garage insurance, anything like that. Building insurance, boy, it's really accelerated here the last 5 years. So
it's the hardest thing that I've had to overcome. I've always said this: if something happens and I didn't have C8, I shut C8 down. It wouldn't be because of money. It would be the insurance liabilities, the health insurance. When I started, my lot insurance doubled. From the day I started this to this year, it doubled. My health insurance has tripled, and you've got to have that stuff. That's one of the things my wife and I spoke of when I went to work and this doing my own thing. The only thing she really said is, you're going to have health insurance. And I'm glad I did. And a lot of the guys that know me, that, man, I had right after I started this thing, COVID hits. And then we came out of COVID. We were just getting back on our feet. I mean, COVID was crazy times, but I had 10 brand new cow pots sitting out back. And that's $1 million bill right there. And then I had my whole front line of trucks and trailers, and I'd stepped out there pretty big, and I had an ulcer perforate out. Never knew I was sick. I was sitting in this office right here on a Thursday. Never knew I was sick. And went home, struggled through it for days. I'm typical. I just drink water, I'll feel better. And by the time they got me to the hospital, I was green. I was sick, dudes. And, it was emergency. When I went in, I was still not thinking much about it. I thought something's wrong. And they ran me and did a scan on me. And that doc tells me, long story short, doc goes, hey, we're going to surgery and we're going right now. And, they went in and, did all the work on me and came out. And I had all these liabilities here. And, it was scary because he's telling my wife, well, he'll be in the hospital two weeks. I was in neck down ICU unit and, with tubes running all over me. He said he'll be here 2 weeks and he'll be out 6 to 8 weeks. And the best sales job I ever did was on that doctor, that MD that would come in. And I talked her into letting me out of the hospital on the 6th day. I mean, I was doing a sales job on her. And then I went home, and the 3rd Monday, I mean, I had sweats on and tennis shoes, but I came into the office. But if I wouldn't have had that insurance, I would have probably bankrupted my family. And so that made me really think about insurance. I was like, ooh, man, I complained about the cost of it. I was like, hey, I'm going to put so much money in an account, and then the catastrophic. And man, if I would have, I could have really done some harm to my family with the bills that came in. But I got up and went right back to work. I said, I got to get rid of these trailers. So I just got on the phone and I started hammering the phones. It was right before I was getting ready to fly out to Washington, D.C. to the UTA. The day before that, 24 hours before I was supposed to fly out, this is when I had to have that surgery. And, I was hurting. I kept thinking, I'll drink water, get over this, and I'll go to UTA. I'll go get on an airplane and go to UTA. But I say that, guys listen to podcasts that are independents, you can't be without it, man. If I learned a lesson, and maybe it was the good Lord teaching me a lesson, hey, you keep fighting on this health insurance, but you got to have it because this can happen. And, just the hospital room for the 6 days was a couple $100,000, something like that. So I'm glad I've always kept good health insurance, but I have to pay dearly for it. But yeah, that's the biggest expenditure in our business is the insurance side of it. Insurance and just, your taxes. Everybody talks about taxes, but they tax you pretty good to do it right. And I've always said in this business, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right. There's a lot of guys in Oklahoma. We are the king of the street corner jockeys. Man, I mean, they're in their pickup truck and they're robbing Peter to pay Paul selling truck. And, when you go set up on that poker table, you better know what you're doing when you play with some of those boys. And,
Yep.
I said, if I do this, we're going to be legit. We're going to have, I'm a trailer dealer, new trailers. I'm a used dealer. Those are 2 separate deals. And then I'm a used truck dealer, and that's a separate deal in the state of Oklahoma. So I keep 3 tags. And I always said, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it the right way. I'm going to run my business straight up. We're going to be profitable. I'm not going to hide anything. And if I don't hide anything, I don't have to remember anything. And I've always lived by that.
Very well said. Well, we're coming up here to the end of the podcast, but I guess any additional thoughts that you'd like to leave us with, Joe?
Just, man, don't give up. Don't give up the fight. If you're in the fight, stay in it. And, I know we're in some tough times, or I feel we're in a slowdown. And I get a lot of phone calls from guys, hey man, what are you seeing over there? I said, it's slow, but we can make it through it, and just keep networking. I think the UTA is probably one of the best networking tools in this industry. And it's not just, it's friendships and it's family. That's how I feel this networking is. I learned so much from all the guys, and I hope I can add to that myself in helping them. I would do anything for any of them. When they call me and they have a problem, if I can help them fix it, by golly, I'll help them fix it. I think that's the biggest takeaway from being in this organization and being in this group is the networking side of it. And not just, I don't look at it as a networking to be profitable. This is a networking to learn. And that's what I've always taken. Because I was never a wholesale. My wholesale experience is very little. I worked for a dealer. And so I wasn't ever a wholesaler. But like the wholesalers, I learn a lot from them on buying and just them helping me look for things. And it takes a lot of the stress off of me going, hey, I'll call guys and go, hey, I'm looking for this, this, and this. If it's not out there, it's not out there. And I just got to tell my customer, hey, I can't find one. Move on. And then with the new guys, I've talked to some of the new guys when I got into this about, I didn't work the back end. Hey, how's this FET deal work? And they'd go through step by step on how the FET deal works. I can't stress it enough. I think, when you join this organization, get involved, learn. And where I was going was so many of these young guys, and I don't want to keep going to the young guys. It's not just the young guys, it's the old guys, but they join the UTA, and Scott and I have visited about this. They get the master list, and then they just fire stuff out to everybody. I almost call it vomiting. They just vomit their stuff all over you. Hey man, pick the phone up. If you're going to send a guy an email, at least call him.
Mm-hmm.
At least call him.
Right.
And I'm having a test right now with the guy. I'd gotten some information. He's texted me 40 times. And he's even texted me, do you own the business or do you just work there? I guess you don't have time for me. You know why I'm not answering him back? He picked the phone up. He called. I don't know you. He called me. I know who you are.
Yep.
Call me. But we get a lot of guys come in here. They get that list and they just firing rockets everywhere. And I'm like, we're doing this thing wrong, guys. If I don't know you, I'm going to pick the phone up before I send you an email. I'm not going to put you in a master list, email all of it to everybody. I'm going to call and go, hey man, introduce myself, who I am, what I do, how I do it. Yeah, that's going to take some time, but it gives you something to do during the day, doesn't it? Yeah.
Well, and reach out to some of the people in the organization or dealer group and get some referrals. You know, yeah. I think that's important too. I think we all, to some degree, keep our circles pretty small. And I just had it recently where I tried to open the door a little bit and I got burned, you know, and now I'm finding out by talking to some of the other members that I shouldn't have put my foot in that door, right? So anyway, one phone call could have saved me the last 30 days of trying to get a mess straightened out.
And you know, that's the truth. I go back, this has been years ago, one of our UTA brothers over in Arizona, and I was doing a deal over there. So I call him, I go, hey, what do you know about this guy? And he goes, oh, stay away from him. Thank you. And I didn't do business with the guy.
Right.
And we were down to trading titles and I was fixing to wire money out and he said, stay away from that guy. And I trusted him. I said, yes, sir. And, man, I turned and went the other way. So yeah, man, find somebody in the UTA you like and trust and can get along with. And it'd be really nice if you had one in all 48 states.
Yep.
You know, I had a member call me it's been several weeks ago and I didn't know the gentleman he was looking for, but he goes, and he wasn't a UTA member, the guy he's looking for, but he called me and he's from, in Indiana. He goes, hey, Joe, I got to pick your brain. You know this guy? And I said, man, I've never heard of him. Well, he's in this area of your state. And I said, oh, hey, I know a guy over there. So call this dealer over there. And if he's some kind of street corner jockey doing work around there, they'll all know him. So, and he was tracking him down looking for his money. And that's a scary thought.
Appreciate your time today, Joe. And
I'm cutting out again. Should I cut out again?
Nope.
This was like going down memory lane for me, Joe. I appreciate everything you're saying because someone who started in the mid-'90s in this industry, things you were talking about were bringing back some good memories and some not so good ones at the time, but it was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Well, to sum that up, I heard this week, and I absolutely loved this. Nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. And that's a huge thing for, I think, everybody to take heart to, because it isn't just throw it against the wall and see what sticks. It's build some trust, pick up the phone. And hey, yes, it takes more time up front cold starting it, but once you got it rolling, you know who's on the other end of that email or that phone call, and that's when you can throw it out there and say, hey, just, you know, does this work for you? I know what works for you. I know what kind of business you're doing. Yeah.
And you know, we've got to support each other. And even outside our network, there's a trailer guy here in town that just went out on his own. He's a younger guy, and he called me. And I said, man, I'm glad you went out on your own. We were talking about it. And I said, man, I'm happy for you. And I think you're doing the right thing. And I said, you know, the problem we have in this industry is, man, we don't prop each other up enough. It's almost like everybody's against each other. And we shouldn't be that way. We should all prop each other up. A UTA guy or not a UTA guy, truck guy or trailer guy. But I've always been that way with the guy that, whether he works at a dealership or not. I had a kid call me the other day, and younger, a lot young. And he said, hey man, I'm thinking about leaving and I'm thinking about going to this other dealer principal. And I was like, okay, yeah. When we were visiting, he goes, man, I trust you. And man, you always did it right. And he said, I wanted to visit with you. I wanted to get your thoughts. What do you think? So we went through everything. I said, hey, best thing I always tell people, get a yellow notebook pad, write everything down on it, the good and the bad. And we kind of talked through some things. But, you know, I felt, you know, out of everybody he could call, he called me. Not that I haven't, because I don't bring anything to the table. I'm humble. And then I always said, you can put what I know in a thimble, smash it with a hammer, and you'd have some room left over. But, makes you feel good, you know, when a guy tells you that. And we kind of talked things out. I said, this is what I'd look for and this is what I'd do. Cause he'd only been with one dealer his whole career. These are the questions I'd ask him and go from there. But it does makes you feel good when you helping, especially the younger guys coming in. And because you kind of, what you talked about, Mike, you know, coming into the business, man, we've had our head stovepipe. Everybody in this, all of us on this phone call, we've had our head caved in. If we can help somebody else from getting that direction, I'll do it in a heartbeat. Because my grandpa always told me, and it's true, experience comes with a lot of zeros on the end of it.
So true.
And that is a true statement. And, I always, we laugh about it at home, my wife and I, but anybody that's been in the truck business knows, I'm a good guy and I like everybody, and I don't have an aggressive bone in my body, and I like everybody, but you will get hardened in business as you go along in the sales field, just by deals where you get taken advantage of. You go, well, I won't let that happen anymore. And you don't.
Yep.
And they may call you hard to deal with, but you've just kind of been burned one or two times and you're just not going to do it again. So everything's going to be kind of in a set program before you do that ever again. And that's how we learn. I mean, if we all had the knowledge, again, I'll say I'm learning every day, and I learn something every day about the trucks, about the business, about being a dealer, about the back end stuff. I learn every day. I'm not a guy that, hey, I got it all figured out and I know everything, because I don't. I just say, just grind it out every day. Just grind it out every day. That's all you can do. And that's being a salesman. The biggest thing I can tell guys is just don't give up. Just grind it out. Just do it the same way every day. Get on that phone, do your follow-ups, do your touches, and go.
Well, I think those are some excellent words of wisdom to kind of wrap this up. And again, we want to thank you for your time today, Joe, and your participation in not only the podcast, but the UTA and the dealer group as well. So thank you for that. And Mike, did you want to talk about maybe some of the upcoming network opportunities that we have?
Yep. I just wanted to let everybody know that the registration opened up today for the 7th annual Red River Shootout fishing trip, April 21st through the 23rd. For those of you who have been there before, but not in the last few years, it's a big difference from where we used to stay. Got the cabins at West Bay Casino Resort, a little bit different from how it used to be. So registration is open for that now. You can go on UTA.org and sign up for that. Also, the sponsors are wide open at this point for that as well, for those of you who would like to have your name associated with the trip.
Yeah, it's a great place to stay, and it's just an amazing fishery. I mean, it's hard to explain it, but if you're into fishing, it's closer to catching sometimes than fishing. And unless you're a really poor fisherman, but it's a great fishery, great place to stay. And yeah, we'd like to see as many of you there as we can get this year. I think it'll be a great networking opportunity, and looking forward to that in April. So, all right, with that, we're going to close up this episode of our podcast.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Thanks for your time, Joe. Greatly appreciate it.
Hey,
yeah,
thank
Joe,
you guys for
awesome.
having me.
Thanks,
Hey,
Joe.
thank you guys for having me. It meant a lot. Means a lot to me. I do. I thank
It
you
was
guys.
awesome.
Thank everybody.